Good evening. A teenage girl has told how she was knocked from her kayak by a 4.5 metre great white shark just off Normanville. Live to reporter Gertie Sperling, who's at the South Coast Hospital where the 15-year-old's just been released. Gertie, how is she?
Jess, the teenager's still reeling, and it's little wonder. 15-year-old Sarah Williams was paddling on her kayak about 200 metres offshore at Normanville this afternoon, while her father, brother and sister were just metres away in a small tinny. Her siblings were watching on when, out of nowhere, a white pointer attacked the kayak from underneath, sending it and Sarah into the air. When she surfaced, the shark attacked once more and latched itself onto the back of the kayak.
Her legs were probably only sort of 15 centimetres away from his teeth, and she was, screaming out to us to come, and that in itself was terrifying, just hearing someone scream like that. But yeah, we turned the boat on as quick as we could, and we got to her, and then I basically just nearly jumped over the side trying to get her out of the water, and
just doing what a dad and a big brother would do.
It stalked the boat as the Williams made their way back to shore, allowing Sarah's mother and a German tourist in another kayak to reach safety. Sarah was rushed to hospital in Victor Harbour. She sustained just a few scratches and bruises and spoke of her ordeal just moments ago.
It didn't seem real until I saw the fin as I was in the boat. I was like, that really happened.
The Williams family will be heading home shortly. They're still in a state of shock after witnessing the horrific event unfold, and they can hardly believe just how close they came to almost losing their beloved daughter and sister. Jess.
What an incredible escape. Thanks, Gertie.
Good evening. A tradie and his colleagues have used cable ties to make a daring citizen's arrest at a construction site in Bowden. A thief was on the run after stealing a truck from a nearby cafe.
With the culprit pinned to the ground, Troy Goff beams up at the camera.
He hopped over the big fence, I jumped over the fence, tackled him into the corner, dragged him back into the yard, basically put him in a hold, tied him up with cable ties until the cops got there.
The landscaper leapt to action this morning after the thief sprinted across his construction site.
I'd come running around the corner with a couple of guys following him. I knew something was going on.
The Elizabeth Grove man was captured on CCTV just moments earlier, dumping a car with a flat tyre behind Jama's Cafe. He then took off in an oil truck that was sitting idle in the car park.
The guy just turned his back doing the oil and then went off with it.
Witnesses watched on from above as the thief made a getaway through Bowden.
what a dip.
The 42-year-old didn't get far though. He reached a dead end, and that's when he tried to flee on foot.
I just went for him, made sure that he was going to suffer for what he'd done.
Despite his valiant efforts, there was no early knock-off for Troy. He was back at work just minutes after the drama unfolded.
I did commend him straight away. I shook his hand and says fair play.
Police took the man into custody. Troy was given the thumbs up and left with quite the story to tell at Smoko. Gertie Sperling, 7 News.
Good evening. 7 News can reveal a police officer is facing jail after he allegedly mowed down a teenager who'd been accused of hoon riding. A former road safety educator, he fronted court for the first time today.
This is Matthew Lumsden, the police officer accused of running over a young motorbike rider. In May last year, the 49-year-old pulled over 16-year-old Ben Wormwell at Parafield Gardens after residents complained of hooning. It's alleged when Lumsden was stepping out of his patrol car, the vehicle lurched forward and ploughed into the teenager. The victim was dragged several metres and pinned to the curb. At the time, this is what police had to say.
But from what I understand, it was just a terrible accident.
But Lumsden was eventually reported and is facing an aggravated driving without due care charge. Ben Wormwell's pelvis was broken in 7 places, his right femur in 4, his left hand and collarbone shattered and spleen ruptured. He spent weeks in hospital and needed intensive physiotherapy. He still requires treatment. Outside court today, Lumsden remained silent.
Do you feel sorry for the victim at all?
Lumsden is an officer with more than 10 years' experience. We know that he has spent part of his career working as a road safety educator, speaking to local community groups and school students.
He's been able to work while the case goes through the courts, but is now facing the daunting prospect of 12 months behind bars. Gertie Sperling, 7 News.